less than.
Dave, if you don't mind leading us in
Yep,
pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna try to get the Zoom connected there, Crystalline.
Yeah.
All right, roll call. Scott is gonna be joining us on Zoom. So we'll see whether we get Scott, and Bobby should be joining us, so. Again, but roll call. In the meantime, want to do formal roll call?
Sure. Councilmember Dave Sauter,
Present.
Councilmember Bobby Ellis.
Present.
Oh, there it is.
Time. Councilmember John Casey,
Present.
Councilmember Scott Hall. He's gonna join us via Zoom.
Yep,
Supervisor Don Cotter.
present. Thank you. So we'll open up the privilege of the floor. Doesn't look like we have any privilege of the floor people here, so we'll move on to purpose of the meeting, which is our review of the agenda for this coming week. So social report, Sue's not here, so we'll just be able, people can read that on their own. Traffic report, people can read on their own. Birthdays. We have a birthday today. We have multiple birthdays this month. We have a birthday today, so everybody can wish Mr. Falbo a happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
All right,
One has the worst question.
I already asked that. Well, you can ask a young guy, John, yeah, how old he is. Yeah, they can ask you and me how old we are.
If only I knew then what I know now.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on to what's this public hearing of proposed local law. There's no attachment.
Yeah, so the attachment, so we're waiting on Chris Nadler to provide us the revisions for the attachment. Did he?
You got that.
I got it.
Yep.
In my email.
Sent it to you later yesterday evening, so.
Okay, all right, so I've got it now. So on the actual agenda for Monday, the attachment will be there. I'll put it when I republish this final agenda, it'll be there for review. But that's what we were just waiting on his revisions to be able to put it on there, so.
All right, anybody, either Mike or John want to speak to, because this is the form-based code that was approved, right?
Yes, and I don't know what I can add to it, other than we worked on it for months. And I think we've come up with a reasonable update that is gonna make things a little more manageable for the town and a little bit maybe easier for developers in those areas where we want development and growth to be. Anything else? I don't know, I think that.
Yeah, that covers it. I'm a little biased when I say I think it's a really good document because 90% of it was painfully typed on my computer, but the public hearing will have to remain open. Unfortunately, we were not able to get it before county planning board. There's a little bit of confusion between our office and Chris Nadler. We did send it off to county planning originally, but county planning did not review it from a local law standpoint. They conducted a technical review, so that did not clear us of the legal obligation to have county planning review. So I don't foresee any comments coming back. Linda Phillips has already reviewed it. There's no issues. It's just legally they have to vote on it and give their opinion.
So since
I will add that I want to just thank Mike for all of his help. He was great to work with through the whole process, and we probably wouldn't have got to a successful conclusion without him. So
kudos.
worth noting.
So since it's still open at the meeting, do we just ask if anybody has any opinions in the audience? Is that
Just gonna have two public hearings,
okay?
because we need to keep it for Monday.
The public hearing.
Yeah,
Yeah, these are just public hearings that are on Monday. So we're not doing the public hearings right now. These are for Monday. So,
I understand that, but on Monday, from a procedural standpoint,
oh,
are we just announcing that we're having a,
yes. So when you get to this part of the agenda, you just open up the first public hearing. You say public hearing for local law amendment chapter 20, section 32 of town reform based. So then you ask for anybody
okay, so that,
that wants to come up and give their input, anybody online.
at that point, we will not have given a presentation on it. They just have it available.
Yeah, we don't have to do anything other than the documents are there for public review. And if anybody has anything to say about it, they can give their input. And then you guys can take any of that input into consideration. Usually, we normally will then have an associated resolution to then pass the item. But in this case, we won't because it's gonna remain open. But like for the next one.
We'll also ask for input.
No, that one actually doesn't have a resolution either, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cause that's gonna, now we will help you through that second one on what you guys gotta do, that has to deal with the unsafe structure. Which I think should end up being dealt with by then, but so typically.
It will be what by then?
We can go through that
We're
now.
Yes.
talking about two different public hearings.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just finish first the procedure. So
Yeah.
normally, so let's say we were passing form-based code, so we have the public hearing. And then down in the resolutions part, we'll have a resolution to then adopt form-based code, and it will say, we had a public hearing based on such law. Any consideration from college was taken, and the town board is gonna adopt it.
Okay, but since
So-
we're keeping it open, we won't have the resolution, we'll have it, but not on the 23rd meeting. But it will be on the,
The next public hearing will be on the April date is.
okay,
Yes.
okay, great.
The 23rd doesn't have public hearings associated.
Yeah, I
with
just want to be sure.
it.
So then let's,
Leave it open, you just have to announce that we're leaving
Leaving
the
it
public
open.
hearing.
but we'll get input, but we'll still get input. on
Both
Monday.
times,
Both
both
times.
times, yeah.
And then at any point from now until you close it, public can decide to write in, they
Yeah.
can email and still give their input during the entire time that the public hearing is open, so.
Okay, great. All right, so then moving on to number 2, the unsafe structure.
Yep, so we will be opening and conducting a public hearing for 5544 Purdy Road. We did provide an affidavit of service, not technically required, but I did provide proper notice to the property owner as well as posting on the structure. Little brief update, they have applied for a demolition permit. Originally, it looked like we weren't gonna be able to get the structure demoed by Monday's meeting. We were able, between the property owner and myself, to pull some strings with RG&E and get the electric issues removed for the service. So goal is that by noon today, the demolition permit will be issued and then that structure will at least be taken down by Monday. Site won't be cleaned up. That'll take a little bit more time, but I will be making the recommendation that we close the public hearing with no action to be taken.
So it'll no longer be a structure to be unsafe.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions on that?
One other thing, just in case anyone asks, the report that is provided does say redacted. The only items that were redacted were personal contact information for a property owner and resident. Just didn't want to put those out in the public forum. Okay.
Great. And Scott is online, by the way. Or he should be.
So if it
He says
is
he's
not
not.
knocked down, we have to have a public hearing.
We're still gonna have a public hearing.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, we're not gonna be recommending to the board to
Demolition.
take any further action,
Okay.
and then we'll close the public hearing.
So is the public hearing just administrative?
Correct, yep, it will still be open for anyone from the public to make any comments. I don't foresee the property owner doing so, they've not, made any. What I'm trying to say here, they haven't said they were gonna come into the meeting, so. Should just be myself standing up, giving a brief 5-minute overview and then. Close it unless anyone else has anything to say. So. That's it.
Okay, great. Moving on to the assessor's report. Michelle, anything you want to say about this assessor's report?
Well, I just included I only have the first half of February sales on there because I just received the second half of February sales from the town in the last day. So that's why they're not on there. And I have a little spiel about a little report of the exemption, the senior exemption. We changed the income limit. We raised the income limit. So I just wanted people to know how many more people applied, how many people qualified, and I just wanted you to.
Will you have time? Do you want to update your report to get the second half sales?
Like I can if you.
And then I'll put that on when I republish it.
Okay,
And we'll have a full report.
okay.
Well, and I just have a comment. First off, thanks again for the fact that you've added in this percent above assessment. Because for me anyway, quick visual, and it's pretty telling, right? The fact that if you look at there's only half a dozen sales or whatever for the first half, but 39% over, 19% over, 52% over. So at some point, Michelle will be making a presentation to the board as far as, her position on what we should be doing as far as assessment or reassessment. But these are good figures to look at to give us a little bit of a feel that we're getting out of whack. This is my perspective, but those numbers seem to indicate that. Any other thoughts that you have, Michelle, or any or questions that people have?
I will have the final yearly report done with all the sales and all the percentages for the April meeting.
Okay.
Once I get it all.
Okay, good. Thank you. Moving on down. Town clerk. Anything? Go ahead.
Sorry, can I just ask a question? This board, because we haven't had, since the time I've been here, we haven't had a historian report. So is there any report you guys want from the historian? And if not, are you okay if I just remove it off the agenda?
I personally think that, when there's a certain thing that Leaf is doing, like in conjunction with the Bristol Days or whatever.
Okay.
I think it's good to have it in there as an add-on, but I don't know that we need to have it on there if we're not getting a regular report.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion.
All right, well, so if we're gonna get any report at all, I'll just leave it on there, I guess. And also, I think it's in the rule. I gotta look at our rule procedures now I think about it, but is there, so there's nothing that you want on a monthly basis from the historians? I just wanna make sure too that whatever reports we're given, we're consistent with them. And if there's any additions that the board wants to see for the department head reports.
I don't know, Dave, John, you've been around longer. Is there any value?
Okay.
Okay, Dave.
Leaf has.
Sorry, I was talking mistake.
Yeah, that's right. We're just talking about historian report is in here.
Oh, yeah.
But we never get a report from the historian unless there's a special event going on, like we had the discussion
Yeah,
at the last board meeting about the.
I think it's
Bristol
better
Days.
to leave it in there, and if
Yeah.
someone's gonna make a report.
Well, that's it's just, is there anything that you guys wanna see monthly from him? I don't know what there would be, but.
Leaf did approach me about doing leaf talks at the park, so he is brainstorming about some ideas of stuff, so maybe more to come.
Okay.
That would be.
I'm with Don on, if there's stuff to report, then it'd be great to hear more about what he's doing.
All right, good. Thanks for asking. All right, moving on to clerk's report. Kristen, anything you want to talk about?
After our meeting yesterday, I did go back and update this a little bit to include a year-over-year comparison. I think you're gonna find that varies month to month depending on the load the development office has, right? Part of the increase from last year, February is, we collected a lot of chargebacks. There were a lot more building permits this February versus last February, and next month there may be less, so I don't know how it will trend, but I went back and I did it. I don't know if you like this, you'll have to let me know. I just broke down the major changes year over year for February.
Yes, so first off, thank you very much for doing that. Very much appreciated. Just so everybody knows what Kristen's referring to. So I asked for a meeting because a number of people have observed that I've made some financial comments that may or may not be based on facts, and so we're trying to to dig into more factual numbers and how reporting can give us a better indication of exactly where we stand. So as a board and as staff members, we can be taking a look at kind of our reality on a closer time frame. So we don't wait till the end of the year and see how things turned out, that we're able to kind of, look at the ups and downs over the course of time. And so one of the things that we discussed was, especially because, for those of us in the room, the 3 of the 5 of us on the board who have not been involved in the budgeting process, we don't budget by month. So we can't compare to a budget on a month-to-month basis. We budget for the year. And as a result, how can we look at things a little bit differently in order to get a read on how we're doing? And so, Crystal, thank you for doing that. That really is, and because then just using this as an example, so, we're up, the differential here is 32,000. So, I'm going to use this as an example, and it's not a true example, but let's say we're up $32,000 every month. So as we're looking towards the end of the year, we can be making some, mental adjustment, okay, and maybe some on our trackers as well, to know that we're going to end up at the end of the year $360,000 over just because of these additional revenue lines here. Jim, as he's pointed out, I always like to point out Jim because he likes to spend money on salt. God only knows why. We know because of previous discussions we've had that we're going to be over on salt and we're going to be over on labor because of overtime, because of the winter that we've had. So we can have checks and balance and ups and downs on the fact that, that we have $360,000 of extra money from the clerk's office, and we have $300,000 that Jim's going to overspend on salt and overtime. And so we know, just looking at those oversimplistic situation of 2 buckets, we're going to be okay, $20,000. We just have an idea of how we're doing along the way. So one of the things that I would just add to this is, because it's a single month, to your point, next month could be up next month. So a running total, if it's not too difficult, a running total would be great. Doesn't have to be line item by line item, but just a running total. So at the end of 2 months, are we up 32,000? Are we up 42,000? Are we up whatever? And so we get for the individual month, we get to see where the increases are or decreases. And then just at the bottom, which brings us for year to date through the end of February, we are up X or down X. Does that make sense as I just tried to explain it? Anybody have any thoughts on that? Good idea, bad idea? We're just trying to tighten things up just a little bit.
I like it, Don. I also like the fact that, like, for example, this has decrease in parks revenue. So, that could be something that's shared with Greg. So Greg knows that.
So we can get off his butt, is that what you're saying? And generate more revenue? Just out of curiosity, why would that be down versus prior year? Just as an example.
Why would the revenue be down?
Yeah, for the parks, for that.
Booking of stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
it's just
had
gonna be
to-
booking of,
Yeah.
yeah.
So last February, we just didn't have as enough. Most of the reservations made in February are for the summer.
Right.
So, I didn't look at last month. People might have booked sooner
The system was open now.
and the system was down. Where they couldn't pay online, which could have impacted it a little bit. We did have some people come in and pay, but in general, people are making their reservations in advance for the summer, and maybe they did more. I'd have to look at January to see, maybe that was increased.
Exactly. So, okay.
I would say the Firefly system definitely, because it was
Yeah.
not for, it was several
few
weeks,
weeks.
yeah, so, and that's how most people do it online.
Yeah. And that's great information to know. So, cool. Awesome. Thank you, Crystalline. Any other questions or thoughts on Crystalline's reports?
So that's all on there, so when it gets republished, it'll be part of the.
Yeah, I'll
package.
probably update it again with the year to date and put it out there for when you read.
Yeah, just let me know when you finish that, so I can
Okay.
know when to publish it.
Well, I'm just out of curiosity. It's the first time that Crystaline's done that. Do other people find that helpful? Because one of the things that I've been trying to make sure is that I don't ask for stuff that's only beneficial to my brain, because it takes more time for staff to do these things. Do other people find that kind of information helpful?
Yes, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
I don't know, I think I've been comfortable with the information as it's been coming to us, so. However you wanna tweak it, I'm comfortable with.
Okay. Good. All right, on to 11A, code enforcement annual report. Do we need to discuss that or just is this strictly informational?
Yeah,
You got
so,
anything to say about it?
yeah, this is our annual report, part of our chapter of code that gives us code abilities within the town. So we've got to furnish a report for the town board every year. It's 38 pages. So a
That
lot of
we're not gonna
information.
go through page by page.
Yep, we did a lot of analysis within it. It gives a really good 3-year overview of everything the department's done and averages for the last 3 years and different areas that has touched. Few keynotes. We took in 633 building permit applications in 2025. The average plan review time for all submissions was 11.7 days. Of those, we issued 585 permits supporting $73.7 million in economic development. That's based off of construction costs. Of those 585 permits, we assessed $382,591.99. I really wanted to get 1 penny. And the biggest issue or item that we saw was of those 585 permits, 110 of those were for brand new single family homes. We had 3 new commercial structures, and we saw 8 large commercial additions or alterations. Altogether, we conducted 3,948 construction inspections, which averaged out to 15.7 inspections conducted per working day. Besides that, we had 74 code cases. We monitored 27 active SWIP sites. And we conducted 119 fire marshal inspections. And we responded to 45 after hours call outs throughout the whole year. Like I said, the report goes into detail. There's graphs that show the 3-year trends, highlights some more key points and some more prominent cases that we've dealt with. Stormwater goes into great detail since last year is really the first year with the stormwater inspector, so we're going to highlight a lot of what that position has been offering us. But we also went through future outlooks with proposed developments, and we don't see those numbers going down. So it's a good read. But if you have any questions on it, just feel free to give me a
You
call.
mentioned a 3-year trend.
Yeah.
What has it been?
So permit application or permits issued will go off of. We've gone from 391 permits issued in 2023 to 585 in 2025. 2024, we were at 596, but we had 170 something permits issued purely for roofs.
How many new builds?
Yep.
You've had over the last 3 years?
Yep. Last 3 years, 2025, we saw 110. 2024, we saw 27, and 2023, we saw 39. Total dwelling units, because we did have multifamily come in. We had 110 dwelling units last year, 68 in 2024. Difference there was because of the Creekview development, and then we had 29 dwelling units in 2023.
All trending up.
All trending up.
And it's not gonna change any from based on effect, so
We were around
already for this year.
we're doubling just about every single year. And costs of construction, we went from about $31 million in 2023 to, like I said, $73.7 million in 2025.
Yeah, this report is excellent. So well done for you and whoever else you had put this together. It's well worth the read, and the numbers are good. As it shows that we're once again I can give all the credit to Dan because he just came on board last year. But certainly once again if anybody wonders why we have a development officer, the town's developing. We're growing and it's going to continue going that way. So well done.
The only annual report that we're state mandated to submit that has not been completed is the MS4 report. Our goal is to have that done by the end of this So that's not included for this town board meeting, but will be included for the next month's town board meeting.
And on Monday, there'll be the development's monthly report in there.
That was delayed. Kristen was on vacation. I wanted to confirm things when she got back, so I got that to John a little late, and this was already published, so that will be when he republishes it.
I skipped over just so there's no surprises or any highlights on that.
Everything's staying consistent, or going up. We're actually seeing some projects, large projects coming in. We have at your 23rd meeting, there's a presentation from Geneco on their project. Next week, we have another multifamily project that we're meeting with. On top of a commercial project also coming in next week, all in the uptown area. So development is definitely picking up pace.
Well, and when people ask about the $3 million, which hopefully we're gonna have people a week and a half from now in the audience said, this RG&E money, whatever the grant we got, it's helping to fuel this uptown growth.
Well, I agree with that. And then to speak upon that John's been working with MRB and trying to get that money budgeted and moving forward so that uptown can start breaking ground.
Last we knew, ball was in their court. Is that still the same?
So I finally got the budget back that was sent to Jeff Cook. I forwarded it along to MRB to start working on the budget report. We got to send back to ESD. Just before this meeting started, I got an email from MRB, some questions that I gotta go through and see what else they need, but that's where it's at now. We're just is submitting that budget report to ESD. However, we still don't have any program documents and requirements from ESD. There's still no it's not laid out how this program's gonna work yet. So
What is the likelihood that the developer will break ground in 2026? Do we have any forecast on that?
I think we don't have any forecast. I think that's everybody's hope. That's what we're trying to push.
Say that again, there was
I think there's no actual forecast on that. I mean, that's what we're all expecting. We're all hoping
yes.
For, but I can't say one way or the other right now because again, I thought by now we'd have at least program documents from ESD on how we got to do the reporting and everything. So that's why now that we got that document, I'm pushing MRB to get the one form in that they were requiring the budget. And then we don't even have an assigned person from ESD project coordinator from ESD yet either. So I think we need to break ground, because otherwise, Dave Krista was mentioning they're time sensitive with Brian Holmes right now. So I forwarded that message along to MRB as well. And it's just, unfortunately, yes, the ball is in other people's court to actually get things going. We're doing what we can on our end to keep it going. I'm keeping up, trying to continue to push, you're reminding, hey, where are we at here? Where are we at with this? What's going on with this? I'm including the ESD people in to these emails. And so it's going to be just a matter of being relentless on them and hopefully breaking ground. I think that's what they're expecting. That's what we're expecting and hoping. But I can't say, to be honest, I'd say it's probably 50-50. Knowing how slow things are at the state level.
Yeah, so if we can get over that hurdle from a town point of view of the things that they still need to do are very minimum. I've been working with them on that, and then a pre-construction meeting and they can go. So
What do they want to build first?
it
It changes.
changes, but it's, I don't know, what, 60.
It's been talked about doing phase one as the commercial mixed use with the apartment buildings. Then it was possibly looking at the townhomes. I think Ryan Holmes is going to be August, clear and then they start.
I'm just, I don't know if this be done, but like. It's gonna take them all summer for that infrastructure alone. You wouldn't probably start digging till fall. So. Is that something they're willing to risk?
They got 100 acres of disturbance they gotta clear, so. They're doing level clearing on 100 acres, I think it was 30 acres of which is their infrastructure, just for that main spine road.
I'm just wondering if there's a way to marry the infrastructure construction of this grant to kind of merge. So we're not,
Underground.
yeah,
Yeah,
That's a conversation I can have with the developer.
that might. I mean. There's gonna be some power out there to do some stuff, maybe not everything they wanna do, but at least. Move along.
And if they know that the power's coming.
Find an outlet, plug in.
That's just.
I mean, we got station 2. Right?
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, is Code's gonna say something if we run like.
The city's responsible for that building, all right?
Next.
All right, any other discussion, or questions for development? All right, anything you wanna throw out there, Greg? For Parks and Recs?
Well, really, the two highlights of mine, I was just sharing with the town board, the committees have done really well. As we know, we fill all the park and rec positions, but also the new trails and senior working group are pretty much filled, almost, I think, 8 in the senior and 10 in the trails working group, which I think, I don't know how it normally goes for recruiting for these committees, but it seems like a lot of response that's coming in for that, as well as Ontario County has reached out and said they saw the post as well and that they would be happy to work with us and come to meetings. So I just think they feel like it's a really overwhelmingly positive response to those groups. So that's really good. And then the other one, the 250th working group this month, is the highlight of the Ganondigan Winter Games that they've paired with their Maple Syrup Fest, which was, they normally do it in February, but it's in March, so they can do the two together. So we're promoting that. And then, of course, fireworks has moved back to Outhouse Park. So there's a lot of discussions, meetings going on to figure out that, working very much with codes and development and fire department and everyone else, because we've got the events going on that day. Our special events is doing the parade, we'll have, and then we'll have the day's celebration events, which partnering with Lindsay and the Y has said that they would be interested as well for fun games and sporting events, and there'll be food trucks and music and all the fun stuff going on, and then of course fireworks in the evening. So it's a big day, a full day, but we're pretty excited about it. We definitely have a place for fireworks. It's for sure. It's just, we're still trying to nail it down, but we think we pretty much got it. Well, is there any questions on any of that? Because I know I get lots of questions and. Yes,
Greg, I guess my question is I mean, you talked kind of briefly on a high level. Are you going to have something more detailed on all the things that are going to be happening at the park? And then also, I presume that you're going to be working with Sue and all to start doing the promotion for this.
Absolutely. Yeah, I sent Sue an email this morning, and she's well aware of the fireworks coming back and the events, and as well as the challenges. We are also doing these monthly highlights, so she's trying to figure the promotion bit out. We have a rough schedule of what we're doing, but all the events we're still planning and trying to figure out based on budget what we're going to be able to actually do, because for that budget it's only $5,000 for the day, which can go pretty quick, because like we thought, oh, great to have a hot air balloon there and do that. And although we could charge for some of it, we came in at $4,000 for them to come in and do that. So it's balancing the ideas out with the budget now and what we're going to actually be able to do. So, but
well, I look forward to hearing more details. Thank you for all your hard work on this.
You're welcome, Scott.
Any other questions for Greg? All right, moving on to the monthly financial reports.
So the monthly financial reports I just carried over from finance committee, which is typically what we do, and so. I don't know. It's gonna change again based on our conversation, and I think it probably, more. We will discuss it probably more in detail at finance committee. But these are the reports that were at finance committee. I carried them all over, but just moved it from one agenda to the other. But unless you want them on this report, I'll probably delete off when I republish the bank recs, because that probably doesn't need to clutter up the agenda. But everything else can stay, and then once we settle on the exact reporting format, then that's what these reports usually are. Will just be carried over from what's reported in the finance committee to the town board, unless there's anything in addition that you guys want specific to town board that's not on the finance committee agenda. But yeah, we talked about yesterday the cash flow report. Dave, we had this meeting yesterday, and we could talk more in detail finance committee, so we don't waste time here. But the cash flow report, I think, is something that we got to discuss further, because I think it just confuses things, because it's not necessarily the money flow. Yeah. And then we came up with some other ideas yesterday that I gotta dig into to be able to provide some comparison reporting each month to the percentages that are left in the budget when we report our revenues and our expenditures, and the expenditures are to date based on what percentage is left in the budget and what's been expended so far on the current budget, and then just finding the comparison to the average of the last 4 years in that. So I just got to go month by month the last 4 years and get those percentages, create a spreadsheet, and have a rolling amount. So, but I will be able to do that for this board meeting.
Yeah.
So but hopefully by next finance committee, we'll have a new slew of reports, and then we can discuss in that committee if this is what you're looking for, if this works, and then again, those will then just be usually that's what just gets transferred over to this part of the agenda on the town board.
As an example, under expenditures, we looked at reports from a year ago, and under expenditures, it would have had a line item that said, basically at the end of March, we're 75 or 25% done with the year. So we should have 75% of our, if everything was straight line, we should have 75% of our money left for incoming bills. But as we know, that's not the way the world works. The world doesn't work on a straight line fashion. But probably historically, things do follow a certain cycle. And so what John was saying was, so for instance, the general fund, he'll be looking at, where the last 4 years trend year to date would be, for instance, through the end of January. And right now it says there's 88% left, but historically, maybe we should have 92% left, or maybe historically we should have 73% left. And so that way, just from a quick red light, green light, we can look at, okay, from a historical perspective, we're doing good. And so we can kind of cruise along, our merry way. Or historically, we're not good. So we can ask ourselves the question, why are we not good? For instance, I'll use Jim as my salt example repeatedly, that there's a reason for it, right? There's a reason that there's an anomaly this year. We have a discussion about it and we move on. And so that way we'll just be able to have a number that we can quickly look at it as a board and just either feel good about where everything's going or not. And when it's not, then we dig in a little bit deeper. So thank you for that.
And then the capital projects will look a little different rather than the monthly expenditures. I just got to come up with do a lot of work in our capital project report and what I can pull out of our system and first create manually to come up with some sort of better reporting for that.
Because similarly on that, one shot of January may not give us any indication of, well, how are we doing? Are we, at the end of the day, are we going to be okay on these projects? Not okay. What's our run rate? Just able to look at it once again quickly and say, we just look at January's numbers. I know just for me personally, I don't know whether we're doing good or not doing good. But if we have a little bit more of a robust way to look at it, so that from my example, looking at the bottom right-hand corner from our analysis of what we've spent, what we're encumbering, because we know we're going to spend, how are we going to end up at the end of the project? And so, more to follow on that. But that's some of the discussions that we had yesterday.
And then, also, what might be a good idea too, Dave, for the next finance committee, is kind of maybe running through the budget summary report to show anybody who doesn't know how to read that yet, how to read that, because that is, the main thing that you look at to see where, each account is
Right.
and that overall, so. So perhaps we run through that as well, for anybody who doesn't know how to look at that budget report yet. So just to make people feel better when you look at it, kind of what you're looking at and seeing those numbers are there that you're looking for.
You said, John, you said in the next finance meeting?
Yeah,
Okay.
Also, if anybody individually wants to stop in, I can certainly do that as well, so. Cause I think that was part of yesterday's meeting too, was showing some of those numbers that I think you're asking for do exist and they are there. It's just a matter of learning how to read that budget report.
Cool. Any other questions on finance or on the
John,
financial
I'll
reports?
take you up on that off.
Very sure. So moving on to the finance itself, Dave, anything you want to add to from finance committee?
No.
All right. PPW and ordinance, John, you ran both of those this week. Anything additional you want to add on those? Okay, great. Economic development, we don't have a committees right
The
now.
only thing that we talked about at the PPW, which is probably worth mentioning, that I think needs further conversation, is the traffic patterns for the transfer station.
So I got two yesterday.
Yep.
I'm gonna send out to have you guys review, then when we just have comments to discuss.
Yep, good.
So I have two suggestions and reasons for both. So good.
And as it relates to that, but separate from that, I met with Krista Bolt, who is the what's his official title? County executive, county administrator, county administrator. Because less than 3 years from now, the landfill is going to be, we're no longer going to be using the landfill. The county, we were relying upon the county for the, using the landfill. So I think some of us may have communicated this already or maybe not. So I may be repeating myself, but I've tried to impress upon them that they need to figure out what they're doing so that we can figure out what we're doing. And it ties in with, once again, is it going to be a little tweak that we're going to be doing on the transfer station, or ultimately are we going to have to rethink how garbage and recycling is collected in our town? It's a big topic, and so right now we've been relying for years and years and perhaps decades upon the county, and this may all come, the dump truck may pull up in front of the town and we may be underneath it, right? So anyway, it ties a little bit into, Jim and I have had conversations about what are we going to do now. But once we have better guidance from them as to whether or not, do they have a plan, do they not have a plan, collectively, we're going to need to put together a plan as to what we're going to be doing. So just on a side on that. So moving on down the road here, we do have an environmental conservation board memo here. Any thoughts or questions on it?
They provided a report to you there, but I just wanted to quickly mention letter B, the open space protection pricing request. So, and I didn't read her follow-up email yesterday on what was ultimately decided on, but I had asked Dan to have a conversation with Kim. So this is a request that I don't think you guys are gonna be able to answer anyway. They wanted an update on our open space maps. John, you probably recall, several months back, we were getting ready to, we we're doing a public hearing on the maps. And we realized that there were some things that weren't in there that should be in there. And so we're going back to just review everything and make sure that everything that first that we paid for got in there. And then some additional items that were brought up. So the open space team is just wanting to continue to move that along. So we're internally having that conversation with them. It is still moving along. There's just still more work to do. And so I don't know.
So I met with Kristen about this as well. Talked to her, and she knows of some of the stuff that John, I believe you brought up that was missing on the maps. But we are concerned that there's other things missing as well. We really want to work with the open space team to make sure these maps are correct. And it was contracted with Lobella. So I do want to reach out to them. I'm trying to figure out exactly who our rep was that did that. So I can have a conversation of saying, hey, things were recognized as missing. We feel that we paid for those things and these need to be updated. So I asked him, it was two-sided. Part of it was, obviously we have a comprehensive plan that's going to be updated here in the next 2 years, let's say, long-term. Would it be better to incorporate those maps and do it all at once as one big adoption, which might be more efficient for the town? She is fairly adamant that the previous board wanted these adopted sooner. But again, there's issues with the maps. So I want to talk to Lobella and see and make sure that they give us what we paid for first off. But then the question comes back to this board also, when do we want to move this forward to adopt? And Kim does have some valid points of her concerns that the ECB would use these new maps to help with their determination and recommendations to our planning board. So I think there's more to have for discussion, but it is definitely with staff at the moment trying to getting the maps corrected first, because I don't think that we want to move anything forward to you guys to look at until they're corrected.
Yeah, so my question was, I didn't know if this needed to be on the agenda or not, because it's more of an internal discussion, but if they want to keep it on, I mean, I can't tell them no. So just wanted to give you guys some background.
Who wants to keep it on the agenda?
The ECB
In open space.
An open space team. So this comes from the ECB, which is a board appointing committee. So if they want to put something on the agenda in their reports, I'm not going to say no. I just questioned it and said, do we really need this on? Because we're already having these internal discussions on these maps. But so if we're going to keep it on, I just want to make sure that everybody here was informed on where it's at. So if you can address it if you want to during the board meeting on Monday, or just reference that, to discuss, and we're still working it internally or whatever you guys want to do with it. So, but I figured 3 of you are going to read that and not know anything what it means. So I want to make sure we at least talk about it here quickly.
So for the 2 of you who were here last year pushing to have it done, are you guys comfortable with the fact that we may push the pause button on it for to have the maps?
We need the correct information, so that
I would think so, but
yeah, I mean, pause button, that's pushing the pause button, push away.
I'll add to that. I don't believe that the previous town board was pushing this issue.
Oh, okay.
I believe it was being pushed on us.
It was just an agenda item, I agree.
And yeah, so
Okay, so there's no
urgency.
there's no urgency or no reason I see for us to have a conversation.
Okay, so you can ask them whether or not, based on that, whether or not they even want to keep it on there. If we keep it on there, fine, but we'll just.
So, I mean, I can remove it and say we discussed it at agenda review. If you guys can decide if we want it on there or not, and I can.
And I asked that question already, and the board came back to me and said that they would like the town board to be aware of where they're at with that memo. If, just like John said, if you guys are okay with the direction staff is taking on this, then I agree. I think it probably should be removed, and we continue working with staff and trying to get these maps corrected. And at some point after they're corrected, are going to come back to you and say, okay, do we incorporate this with the comp plan? or do you want to approve them independently?
Right, ahead of time, right?
So,
So,
I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. Does it provide any value to the townspeople for us to leave this on and be transparent that we are looking for accuracy before we want to move forward and that we're going to move forward? I mean, we're having this in a public forum as well. I don't know if we, because of the difference between the attendance at this meeting and the board meeting on Monday, if there's value to just leave it on and acknowledge that in the meeting.
And I say to that, in response to that, why not? We spent more time talking about it now than we should.
Agreed.
Spent talking about it on Monday night.
yeah, so we just say, you know, this is on there and we're working on it and.
And again, so that you guys at least were able to provide some comment,
Right.
we just wanted to give you the information on it, so.
Perfect. Good point,
I
Scott.
want to
Good.
interject.
Yeah.
We did not talk about 12D, which is economic development. Here at this meeting.
Yeah,
And
so,
over the-
yeah, and so,
Get it. Sorry,
go ahead.
I keep forgetting to remove that because we don't have an economic development committee.
Well, but I think that to where John's probably going with this, and I agree with him on this. I've been waiting, you know, when we set up the committees in January. We didn't have the grants yet, so there didn't look like there was gonna be a lot of economic development that we really needed to pursue. And so we pushed the pause button on that last year. That committee was run by Jared because we didn't have a fourth board member. And my understanding is it didn't even meet that often.
It never met.
It never
I
met.
don't think ever.
Never
Yeah.
met.
I don't think we've ever met on economic development as a topic since I've been on the board.
And
How
so,
about you? Do you recall?
No,
You were, actually, you were the chair of the committee for a while.
Right.
We'd never met, right?
yeah, and so if the direction you were heading with this, and I shouldn't.
I just brought it up for conversation.
Cause where my brain has been going is that I'm inclined to start that committee back up again. And so, and then we had put kind of in a placeholder that Bobby was gonna chair that committee. I think that Dave, you were gonna be the vice chair of that committee. So let's have a discussion about that as whether or not, as a group, we think that it's time. Because we do have a lot of stuff coming down the pipe now from an economic development standpoint with what Dan's doing, that the time is right to start that back up again. Cause I think it is. And I don't know whether that's where you're going or not, but.
Not where I was going, but to be honest, I'm not opposed to giving it a try. But I question, at the same time that I say that, I question what's the goal of the group and what are they going to try to accomplish? So I'm not opposed, but I don't know if we need it or not.
Yeah, I think that I'll just give my quick thought on that. So right now, for instance. We've had some developers coming in now that they want to get in front of the board and present, you know, new plans for development. And so right now, what they're doing is meeting with me and Dave. And so, which is okay. But if instead we had this committee, which is more robust than just me and Dan, then we get more input and thoughts on it. Because if for no other reason, just like, you know, for PPW, you know, you guys get to review, you know, the bigger projects or whatever before bringing it to the board. These guys can review some of these development opportunities and get a chance to scrub them a little bit, make some suggestions ahead of time. So for instance, on this one that we'll see in a week plus, you know, I threw out, if it's not too late, you know, part of our comprehensive plan is to have trails. Can we have trails built into this development? And then they came back to us with trails, right? So, but if we had a committee, there might be other things that people are saying, well, how about this? Could you come back with this? Could you come back with that? There's just more touches.
The other, my thought process in this as well, and when I brought up to Jared last year about getting this committee started up, is also with work in conjunction with the LDC. So we have the LDC, and I think a lot of reasons why we sit to the LDC, and there's been a lot done on the city side of things, because they come to the table already having discussions and committee forum on what they want to bring to the LDC and request of them. You know, when they did the grant, those were all discussions that they had. and then came to the LDC and said, we want to apply to this grant. And I think that's just a piece that we're missing on having a committee to decide, you know, what we want the LDC to focus on for the town. And so that was just another idea of what this committee can do, is come up with that, the common idea. Okay, we want to do this, this, and this. Can the LDC help in these areas, and then bring that information to the LDC?
And there's some business growth too, like Joseph's, or however you pronounce the meat place. I mean, we have no real vector for them other than Dan to say, hey, what about it? And I think that's a piece we're missing. The LDC is different for us than the city, because we don't have a place where people will gather and, you know, an economic environment. We have Outhouse Park to do this or that, but we really don't have the same needs. But we have to get them to look at our needs a little bit as well, the LDC.
Would something coming out of an economic development committee be something like, hey, we would see value in the form-based upland, you know, code that we're talking about, you know, having our public hearing on Monday? Would that be something that you would see coming out of that committee as a recommendation for other committees to be looking at or taking?
Could be. I mean, I guess in the sense, depends on the sense you're talking. If we're just changing codes and going through that, I mean, it's something that you know, runs through ordinance committee. But if you're talking about, you know, can form-based, you know, probably how when form-based code was originally developed, was looking at this is what we want our uptown to look like. I mean, that would be something, if there wasn't time, that would run through an economic development committee to determine if this is the best way to proceed using this code. You know, maybe if there was, then it would have stopped it from happening. But
it's not stopping, or it's not stopping it now. That's right, you know.
But so yeah, I mean, in that sense, things that would run through was, you know, is this something that we want to do that could help businesses in our uptown area?
Well, there's no downside to having economic development.
Right, and once again, we'll test it out, and if the committee believes that 6 months from now they're adding value, then we keep doing it. If the committee decides that they're not adding value or whatever, then we stop. So, but thanks for bringing that back up, because I skipped over that, but that I've had that in my mind that I think the time is right. So,
and
I appreciate you doing that.
And I keep forgetting to leave off the agenda.
Since the committee doesn't currently.
As far as the original template, I just got to change it, but now we might not have to.
Do you go with that?
Yeah, I don't mean to be the naysayer here, but I'm not sure that I heard anything that was just discussed that is going to promote economic development here in the town of Canandaigua. However, that being said, I'm not opposed to giving it a go.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe it proves to be very beneficial. And so I don't want to get in the way of progressive development.
The other thing that we could talk about in that committee is the new commercial businesses that are coming in, and maybe how do we support them?
Yeah.
And maybe talk to the businesses that are out there. How do we promote them? You know, is the other piece of that. So I think there's opportunities there.
So my question would be then, when do you want to create it? Do you want it on Monday's meeting, or wait until April? I can slap together a quick resolution when I publish the final agenda.
Right, because when we did everything at the organizational meeting in January, did we not even have it as a placeholder? So we actually have to create the committee, not just assign officers to the committee.
No, it was taken off because all that. So that meeting you only put on the resolution with the committees that you created. So that resolution created
I thought Don created it and put Bobby on as.
No, I think that we talked about who was going to be on it.
Yeah. It wouldn't, because if you put it on the resolution as placeholder, then essentially saying we have this committee, but we aren't having that committee, so it wasn't on.
So then we should get a resolution.
So we just need a resolution
Yeah.
saying we're now, we're restarting the Economic Development Committee. And these are the people that are gonna be on it. I have to do just some quick digging to see. If there's really a ton of detail that needs to go into it, and if so, then we might have to wait till April, but if I can.
So if we had 5 people on it, I mean, it's always good to have an odd number.
Yeah.
So if it's Dan, Bobby, myself, and 2 citizen,
Staff should not be appointed members of committees,
okay.
sorry. Because staff makes the recommendations to committees, and the committees make the decisions.
So would we have 3
Right.
citizen representatives?
Well, and you know, Greg's been very, very successful getting people on his committees. The other thing is that we've got our town hall meeting the following Monday, where we can see whether anybody that's in attendance is interested in being part of this committee. So we don't start it until April.
Right, I mean,
Right.
but maybe we advertise it tomorrow.
Yeah, otherwise get Sue,
Right,
put a
right.
notice out there.
Right.
Absolutely. So, and I think
Yes.
how did you ultimately, where do you think your people came from?
Kim, Sue, word of mouth. And
Yeah.
I think we started talking about this potential in the park and rec. People were already kind of new, so maybe I cheated a little bit and talking about it, but once it formally went out, yeah, Sue.
Yeah, so definitely we
Kim
could do
through
it
the
right away.
newsletter.
But just hit it out right away, why not, you know?
So then we'll wait, so then we won't bother creating or putting it on for Monday, because let's wait till April and see if we get members, then we can do it all at once and appoint. people
Everybody all at
to it.
once. Oh, yeah.
All at
So are we
once.
looking for 3 members,
3
and
members.
three citizen members?
Yeah,
Can
this
it
is
be-
where it stalled last year, so.
Right, I agree.
Can the 3 citizen members be business owners or no?
Yeah, sure, that'd be ideal.
Probably should,
Yeah.
Probably should be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Or so
That'd be
have some sort of connection
Connection,
with,
right.
with businesses or economic development.
Just off the top of my head, I think Yosef Ritter would be a good example. Constantly doing stuff within the town and the city, it brings in a lot of value.
Right. I don't know if there's anybody from Pactiv, and Pactiv's huge.
I wouldn't personally recommend it because Pactiv no longer exists. They're on their-
Whatever they're called now.
Yeah, they're on their 3rd re-acquisition.
Right.
But I can pass along some names of some people that I work with.
Maybe Mayflower.
So Wide Waters Plaza would be a good one too. I mean, they've seen a lot of redevelopment, a reduction in vacant space. So,
What about Jeff Cook?
yeah, he would go. He does a lot of the projects and he also works in a lot of different municipalities. And I think he'd bring in a good perspective of not just Canada Central, but
Yeah.
what works best from a development standpoint.
I'm reaching out to him on another
Right.
letter this afternoon, so I could bring it up to him if you guys would like.
Yeah, well, yeah, me and him actually we were supposed to have a meeting like a month and a half ago, so that'd be perfect.
We'll do that.
And don't forget that there's other businesses on the other end of town, not just uptown.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
businesses on the other end of town too.
Company store.
Hey, Ben might be good.
That's it.
Well, there's lots of other ends of town. We got Laguna Grande. We got Ben.
So that speaks to, let's just put it out there and see what comes into us, as well as
Yeah.
reaching out.
Yeah, God bless.
Test, test, test. Test, test, test.